Hello, everyone. So here is Moonlight Soul, and I have a very, very special guest. I'm super excited about this chat that I invited my good friend Hayley for, because Hayley is someone that I haven't brought to my YouTube channel just yet. And I feel that us connecting at this time with everything that's going on astrologically is just the perfect timing. So I give it over to Hayley. Hayley will tell us who she is, what she does, and how she can help you guys. So Hayley, please tell us who you are and what it is that you entertain your time with.
Hi, Mila. Thank you for having me on your channel. I'm delighted to be here. I am a family constellation practitioner. So I practice the method of family constellation therapy, which is a very strange therapy. Most people find it very difficult to pinpoint and very difficult to describe. It's a little bit of epigenetics, a little bit of psychology, and a little bit of energy medicine. But it is the most effective modality that I have found myself. In my quest for healing, I was doing lots of different modalities. I was trying lots of different things. And I kept coming back round and round the circle, round and round the circle. This is not healed yet. This is not healed yet. And my very first constellation, I remember it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like a bolt of thunder. And I slept for the whole day the next day in recovery.
Wow.
But that thing that was really troubling me was gone and never to be seen again. And for me, that was just so incredibly powerful. It made me really hungry for more. And so when they offered training in this modality, I was there and I was first in line. And I've been doing it since 2008. And what I've seen for my clients and what I've seen for people that have been touched by this work is there is no describing the amount of shifts that take place in their lives, because what family constellation work deals with is like the legacies that we carry with our families.
Yeah.
So it's all that old stuff that can come into your life without you being aware of it. So it's the underlying themes, the underlying beliefs that can trip you up. And what we do in the work is we examine those under a microscope on the soul level, and we see what the actual soul story is that's playing out, and we're able to unravel it so much easier and so much in such a gentle way that you find that your flow is so much better, things run a lot smoother, and a lot of those complications tend to shift or go away. And even if your family members or the people involved in your problem are not present for your session, you will find them reacting to you differently. You will find them taking a different stance. And that is what is so magical about it. And it was actually founded here in South Africa. I'm from South Africa. And it was founded here by a German psychotherapist who had come out to work with the Zulu people. And so he just saw like all of their honoring of the ancestors and how things would magically come right when they did these processes and they did these rituals. So he obviously took a Western approach, more sort of a therapeutic approach, and he developed what is now known as family constellation work.
Wow, that's awesome. And thank you for explaining that, because I'm sure that a lot of people say, family constellation, what is that? I know that when I came across to it first time, I was like, well, I'm not fully sure. So let's we go and have a session, because I don't quite know what to expect myself. And I can just say from the session that I had with you and how things had changed for me, because if you remember back in spring, when I was still struggling to fully dive into me being a professional astrologer and just like fully diving into this business and not just not really worried about what other people are saying and thinking and whether I'm getting a support from my family. And we did the session together and how everything shifted for me, because it really is true that we don't have to have the entire family lined up there. And I know some people might be even not talking to their family members anymore, or some people might be already passed on to the other side and stuff, but this is not necessary, because what's happening here is with the higher selves, it's on the soul level, it's the higher vibration, it's the energetical field. That is really what we are working on here. And that's why I felt that this is such a beautiful complement to what I do with evolutionary astrology, because it's all our soul journey of evolution and breaking free from that which no longer serves us, really.
100%. And I mean, it can take lifetimes or it can take one lifetime. Some patterns, as you know, in
Yeah.
astrology show up in your chart repeatedly, and you know it's a karmic thing. But if you can undo it within the family system that you're in this lifetime, how great is that? How wonderful is that to set yourself free and be able to recreate your history and to write a new one, to be able to pass something else on forward, even if you don't have children, to leave a legacy that is different from the one that you've always lived.
Yeah.
And that's why it patterns so beautifully with evolutionary astrology, because you're showing this is where you've come from, this is what you've gone through, either in your childhood or your past lives, but this is like the kind of things that you need to tweak. And then family constellation comes and goes, okay, well, let's see what we need to tweak and how we tweak it. And that's why they marry so beautifully.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I wanted to say, that people come to me because they want to understand themselves. And I always say, I'm not going to tell you what to do, because that is not my job. Only you know what is the right thing for you. Because it would be about externalizing our power. And evolutionary astrology is all about people trying to reconnect with themselves to find the self-empowerment. However, in most cases, there is a healing required. And in many cases, people can't all do it themselves. It's not like they're not able to heal, but we all have a blind spot, myself included. I continuously go to all the specialists for all sorts of different treatments and healings, because we are all working on so many things that we brought with ourselves from the past lives, and also inherited from our ancestor lines genetically, because everything has been passed on when we took the first breath, all that. So we all need support, right? Like, we are all helping each other because we have blind spots. And that's why I feel this is so powerful, because I usually say to people that, okay, well, this is what you're working with. This is exactly like you said. This is what you came with. This is your evolutionary potential, because nothing is ever set in a stone. Everything is under the supervision of your free will. You can always decide. You can even decide, you know what, I am done with this because this is too hard and I just want to do nothing. And that is your privilege, that's your prerogative. But if people do choose that, actually, you know what, I'm sick and tired of having this coming around over and over and over again, and I really want to break out of this vicious cycle, then there are people who can help. And this is not externalizing your power, because actually with your free will, you are choosing to make a difference. So then you can start this brand new cycle. And I feel family constellation is so powerful, because it includes so much, and it goes so deep, and it is no way just about this one life with this one set of parents or grandparents or something. And it literally can make a complete shift in your life from now on, where you're going. And that's why I feel it's just so beautiful to have this kind of modality available to us at this time, right now, what we are experiencing.
Yeah, I feel that a lot of people have become very disconnected from their villages. We're seeing the breakdown of villages. The concept of a village is being distorted by modern day living, and people are feeling very alone and feeling very disconnected from themselves. And so, with your work, you can show them the greater picture. With my work, I can also show them the greater picture, but also reconnect the dots.
Yeah.
So understand that you're not just here alone. You're connected to all of these thousands of people who came before you. They're all invested in how you do. They're all
Exactly.
waiting to see you do great things. And not only that, you're not alone. You're not alone in the cosmos. And we're all interconnected. And that is also the beauty of this work, is that we work with reconnecting you to yourself. And once you're reconnected and fully in your own power, you're able to connect to others easier, and to get over the barriers that society has set up, largely by social media and a lot of disconnect that's happening. And I feel like in this time that people are needing that. I feel like in this time people are needing to feel grounded and connected to something, and to feel like they're part of a bigger picture, and it's not just them facing the elements out on their own.
Absolutely. And we were just before we press record, we were talking about this, that right now, as we have all these retrograde planets, we know that Venus just stationed direct on Monday, well, Sunday night, Monday morning, wherever you are in the world. But Jupiter now gone retrograde. And as we know, Mercury is still playing its tricks, being in retrograde until September 15th. So there is still a little bit more of that to enjoy. But I just feel with all this stuff that's going on in the skies, it's kind of, especially being in a Virgo season right now, which is the archetype of healing, learning, readjusting, and it goes all the way back, obviously, to this Pisces age of us having all this sense of inferiority, not good enough, have to be perfect, have to have it all figured out. And that creates this sense of loneliness epidemic. Like, we have 8 billion people out there in the world, and I don't think people have ever felt more lonely, more like feeling that they don't have anyone to talk to, nobody to understand. And this is again an illusion. It's all this Pisces archetype, the Virgo and Pisces, they are in opposition, they come as a pair, and it's all this is this but it can feel very real, because this again comes from, just as you said, this disconnection that we don't perceive that you are part of me and I'm part of you. And yes, we are all a unique, authentic expression of the source, but we all co-creating the same human collective experience. So this is why I feel that right now, especially right now in the history in humankind, when Pluto is just finishing his Capricorn 15-year transit, is going to have one more retrograde next year. But now it feels to me that this past 15-year theme, and isn't that interesting, you started doing family constellation in 2008, which is exactly when Pluto moved into Capricorn. And yeah, you can't make these things up, seriously. And it's so fascinating that right now so many people are truly waking up and truly deciding that no more, this will stop with me. I don't want my children to have to experience that. What can I do? So I am so grateful, as I mentioned, that there are so many modalities that there is a lot you can do. And family constellation is a perfect place to start, because for majority of us, the trauma comes from childhood. It comes from our family, and our parents did the best they could, because they didn't know any better. Whatever they did, they didn't know any better. They tried their best. In most cases, of course, some people can challenge me on that, and I understand that there are exceptions to the rule. But whatever happened, and now it's our responsibility to change it if we wish to do so, because nobody else is going to do it for us.
Absolutely. And I think we're at a very strange precipice in time, because everything that has gone before is dissolving. It's literally dissolving in our hands. And we're at this precipice where we're like, okay, so a lot of that didn't work for me, and a lot of that isn't working for me, but like, how do I change it? And what do I do to make this be different? And it's almost like being given a blank piece of paper and being told, now you must create your masterpiece. And a lot of people are like, what?
How?
And then going back to the cycles, the Mayans talk about the dark light cycles, the day night cycles, and how they speed up over time. And I think at the moment, before all these eclipses, we're in the night phase, right before we hit day, where everything goes direct and everything is bright and shiny and out there and visible. Right now we're in the unconscious period, we're in the period of introspection, and with this we're in the night phase, and we need those day night phases. They're essential to our evolution, they're essential to our growth, and they're essential to our stability. You need to be able to go inward, you need to be able to repair, to adjust, to kind of rest as well, and then also to gather your resources, because when you come back into day period, when you come back into being out there, you're going to need to be fully refreshed, you're going to need all your energy. So I feel like right now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it ties up with the astrological chart that we're in this night period, and we're soon going to be in today, and this is the time where you need to make those adjustments, and so set a course for where you're going to go when things start speeding up and start showing up.
Absolutely, and it's perfectly in alignment. This is actually something that's been coming up for me a lot in my conversation with my friends and fellow astrologers, and my other friend, my soul sister, tarot reader Marissa. I know that you are becoming familiar with our work as well, like our collaborations there. And yeah, this is exactly where we are at, because in astrology we have the masculine sign, the fire and the air, and the feminine side, the water and the earth. And right now we are in Virgo season, which is the feminine time. Plus, with all this retrograde, it's very introspective energy. It makes us to go inwards and reevaluate everything, go over things, make a new choice under all circumstances. So it's 100%, and this is even what I've been pointing out in my own videos on my YouTube channel, where I was saying to people, the time is now. This whole year is this transitionary year where we just moved from the nodes being in feminine signs of Scorpio and Taurus, and then in July it all shifted. So it seems like July was like a beginning of something new, like a beginning of a new cycle that's upon us. And now, right now, in this Virgo season, this 1 month before the equinox takes place, this is a preparation. This is the time for us to withdraw. And it's perfect how you describe it, because even when we observe nature, and even when we observe the sun and moon and stuff, they're not out there 24/7. Like even they take like, okay, high five, sun, now you go and do your work, and the moon goes and has her rest, and then they switch, right? And it's like we are being conditioned to believe that we have to be full stream ahead 24/7, like never sleeps, we never retrieve. Obviously now, because of the technology, there is not even such a thing as complete dark. Like our ancestors had at night, they just have to switch off and go to sleep, because there was no light. There was just the fire, and that's it. And then you didn't want to get eaten, so you just go and rest, right? Keep an eye out on the environment, whatever. But right now there's no such a thing. So many people have, for example, night shifts. They work at night, and it completely, like
The world doesn't switch off at night.
yeah, we never ever switch off. And I mean, of course, everybody's got their own natural biorhythm. I'm not saying this is what should be right for everyone, for sure, but the way that we are acting as human beings, human doings right now, is that there is this enormous pressure to just keep going. Like it's not like, okay, now it's the the Virgo season, so now it's the feminine energy, you should just take a rest, recuperate, like receptive energy. But it's like, no, well, you just have to get on with it, just keep going. And this is causing so much anxiety and stress and this overstimulation. And for sure, we need to take a little bit of a step back, which is why we have all these retrogrades, because they don't let us not to do it, because then the eclipses will come.
Sit down. You will sit down now.
yeah, because it's literally like, how are we gonna keep going if we feel completely exhausted and depleted, and then the eclipses comes, like the equinox, full moon in Aries at the end of the month, and then the eclipses, and then like, and now what?
Yeah. And I'm seeing that a lot of it's always been the masculine energy to keep doing, and typically, the feminine energy to support. But what I'm seeing, and I discussed this with you, is I'm seeing a lot more men who are really battling with that concept. It's like, I can't hold this up anymore. I need support, and I need to be able to support myself and my family better. And the old ways aren't doing it. And I need to find new ways of how to do that, because the whole construct is breaking down, and they're needing support. They can't keep going like they have for centuries. It's just not working. So not only is the feminine waking up and becoming more independent and more assertive, but the masculine is like, hang on, I need a bit of help here. I'm like falling apart, because their construct of just go is also falling apart.
Yeah, because this is pretty much what brought us to this time in our human history, where there are hardly ever relationship that pass that 7-year Saturn mark, where people they just can't do it, because we don't really listen to each other. People don't really understand themselves. They don't know who they are. There's just all these keeping up with appearances and keeping up with Jonases, what everybody else expects from us. Like, you 20, you should go to college. You 27 or 28, you should be married. You should have a job. You should have this. You should have that. But is this right for everyone? And it just completely like disconnected us with our natural cycles of who you are and what you need and what's the right thing for you, that would actually allow us to discern, in other Virgo quality discerning, that, well, is this the right thing for me right now? And I feel that now with everything that's going on, and of course the North Node now being the sign of Aries, South Node in Libra, we see a lot of relationship breaking down because people are questioning. They're questioning, like, how did I end up in this situation? And is this the right thing for me? Maybe I need to take a step back and go on a path of self-discovery. And of course, this is not possible for everyone. It doesn't just mean now everybody, all the fathers going to walk away from their children. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying people are starting to ask questions, and they're starting to make adjustments. Again, Virgo, adjustment, learning and adjusting. And I feel that understanding where it all started and potentially what is the pattern in my family that has been passed on to me from generation to generation to generation, to that I still act on, in many cases completely subconsciously, but creates this outcome that I no longer desire. I don't want to struggle like my ancestors. And in many cases, there is this loyalty. I'm sure you've seen that a lot, that people feel guilty and ashamed, like, oh, but I feel like I'm betraying my ancestors if I'm going to be rich and successful and something, whatever, that I will not belong. And I feel this is what needs healing in order for, because I mean, who doesn't want to be happy and abundant and enjoy life? I mean, we all want that. But then for a lot of people, they feel like, well, this is not possible for me. And why not? It is available to everyone. It's just, what do we believe? And a lot of the belief system is connected to the ancestors.
No, 100%. And it's about figuring out what it is that you want, and then also allowing that and knowing that you have permission to want something different from your ancestors, to strive for something different, because that's also challenging. Because now we're saying, well, okay, you guys have been doing that for the last 1,000 years, but now I'm going to do this. and you're like, that's okay, right, guys?
Yeah, but that's exactly just like what you said like a few minutes ago, earlier in a conversation, when you said that they're cheering up on us. And this is exactly what people don't, a lot of people don't, can't understand or picture or like comprehend that they are, just because they lived 100, 200, 300, 500 years ago, they didn't have the options we have now available. But do you think if your great-great-grandpa was born right now with all this stuff available, do you think he would still choose to go and slave on the farm somewhere, or like in a field? I'm not saying, for some people this is what they enjoy, and this is it. But in a past incarnations, past ancestor lines, people didn't have the choice. They weren't asked, hey, do you want to be a farmer or do you want to be a musician? There was never a choice. They said, well, this is what you're born into. That's it. This is what you expected to do, whether you like it or not. And, most of the time people did grown to do it well or something, but would they have chosen it anyway? But now, if your great grandpa, which potentially he is your son or your nephew or something anyway, like they like, look at these kids, like, I know you have Pluto Capricorns at home, your children, and they're not gonna go and choose something they don't want to do. Like, why would they do that? They have all these options. And imagine this could have been your great 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 grandpa, and now he's your baby, and he decides, I'm not doing that, I did it before. So it's literally like, yes, our ancestors are cheering on us and say, yes, please, please be the one to break that cycle, because we don't want to come back and having to have to do it again.
Exactly. They're the ones that are going, please just be the best you can be. Please do better than I did. Please have all the love, have all the freedom. And the kind of people, the beauty of this work is putting people in touch with that, putting them in touch with all this love and pride that actually exists for all of us. And they are excited. They are really excited when you do things well. They are really excited when you achieve your dreams and you break the molds, because we are evolutionary souls, and Earth is like the school, but we're here to evolve. We're here to grow from level to level. Again, back to the Mayans, you've got the different levels of evolution of consciousness. So we started with the farming, and then we went to industry, and then we went to this. So of course they're cheering you on. They're like, please, you're the way showers. You're going to show us. You're going to show our new generations how things are done. And so I enjoy the work, particularly because of that, because you're showing people things that they hadn't thought of. And I often refer to myself as a tour guide, because I'm just like, have you seen this in your lineage? And have you seen this? And you know that you could choose that. So yeah, it's beautiful. And the amount of love and support that people feel, it's available to all of us. If only we know about it, we can tap into it and we can feel that love and support that's around us all the time. And that comes into my other role, which is as a medium. So although I'm a family constellator, a lot of family constellators are not mediums or psychics, but I happen to be both. And for me, my mother died when I was 6, as you know, and I was chatting to her for years and not thinking that it was abnormal. I just thought everybody had a friend on the other side, and it was only later on that I realized that this was a skill that I could develop and that I could actually use to help others. And the connecting with people who've departed is particularly rewarding, particularly when you can put a son with his father and he gets to say the things that he longed to say.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I think the overriding message of family constellation work and the work that I do is that you have so much support. There is so much support for us right now as a collective. People are, they really are rooting for us to make changes and to really be the bright stars and to really take our consciousness to a different level completely. And the people who are doing this work, the brave souls who come and say, okay, I want to change my family systems, I want to change what I've been doing, they're the brave ones, because they're stepping out into the unknown and tackling the things that aren't working in their family lineage, tackling the things that haven't worked for them in past lives, tackling all this heavy stuff so that they
Yeah.
can live brighter and freer, and make different choices.
Absolutely, and I can totally attest to that. Just as I shared in my last video last week, which was a personal share, that I'm at the moment visiting my family right here, right here, right now, preparing for my winter in Mexico again. So I have 2 months in between here, and I have it right in my face, all of it, all
Yeah,
the dysfunctionality, and also the fact that I've always been the black sheep, and I've never been able to follow this family tradition. Not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's just
yeah,
not for me. It's just not for me, and I made different choices, and I had to kind of be able to create boundaries and accept that, well, they love me, but they will never fully understand, which is okay, because we have a different paths. And also just to still be brave enough to keep going, even though there might have not been the support, at least in this 3-dimensional realm. I know there is in a 5-dimensional realm, but right here, right now, like they live in and this is the thing which I also try to explain to my client. We live in different realities. It's just because you live with someone in the same apartment, it doesn't mean that they live in the same world as you, in the same reality. We all live in on all these simultaneous realities. All these timelines are crossing at the same time, because everything is accelerating right now. And it
yeah,
really is up to us, like what do we want to choose? And I know what I want to choose for myself, and at the same time I know that, okay, well, maybe it will not change my parents' experience in this incarnation, but I know that I am paving a new pathway for when they decide to reincarnate, because usually souls do come back into the same family, just play different roles. And also I'm paving a new opportunities for my nephews, for the next generation, because we are impacting the generation that came before, the generations that came after. And I know that for many of my clients, and I actually try to explain that to them, even though I am not obviously a specialist in these things, but it makes sense to me. They feel relief, because they feel like, oh, I thought I was like, it's so much because the way we've been conditioned, it's so much easier to give ourselves permission when we know that this is not something I'm just doing for myself. Because then
yeah,
people struggle with this, oh, I'm being selfish, all this kind of
yeah,
conditioning that especially came because of the religious suppression and stuff like that, but other things as well. And when you say to them that actually by you taking the time to heal and to to shift the direction of your life, where you actually going to be happier and freer and able to do what makes you feel fulfilled and gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, you are having an impact on everyone, your family for sure, but also the entire collective, because we put in this energy out there into the ether, into the akash, and it's affecting everyone. So this is why people should never underestimate, when I know a lot of people struggle with the sense, well, I'm just one person, what can I do? A lot,
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
because your energy matters. Like, just by you shifting your own energy and your vibration, you shifting, it's a ripple effect. We are affecting everyone around us. And you know that when you enter a room where everybody's miserable, even though you had the best day, you enter a room and everybody is miserable, and then you can feel this heaviness just like boom, you know. So
Yeah.
imagine that if you come with that energy and you impacting these people in the positive way, how much the good you can do just with that.
100%, 100%. And if people become better guardians of their own energy, they can understand what an effect that they do have on other people. And I just wanted to say, with any kind of work that somebody's doing, they must never underestimate the impact that it's having. You might go to have a Reiki session and clear something, 2 generations down, and then the next day or so your sister comes and says, I've been thinking about this a little differently, and you're like, wow, because it is exactly a fractal of energy. It just ripples out and out and out, and you don't even know how it's going to end up. You don't even know all the good it could do. That tiny little action, that tiny little thing can have so much impact. So much impact. One of the things that my one client said to me, she said, she did a session with me years ago, and it was with her and her husband, and she said, we're still seeing the ripples now, 7 years later. We're still seeing the impact of that one session, because that healing that they embarked on and were brave enough to embrace has changed so many patterns within their family and within the way that they relate to each other. And so you must never, ever underestimate the power of one little action. Can just literally, like a fractal, just can go on and on and on and on. And that's the beauty of it. The black sheeps, the souls that stick out like sore thumbs, that say, well, we want to do things differently. We take a lot of flack for it. We get attacked for it. We get shut down. But it's important that we take those steps. It's vitally important that we take those steps.
Absolutely, because if in a past history of humankind there weren't these rebels and these ones that live on the fringe of the society, nothing would ever change. Because if nothing changed, then nothing changed, right? So there has to be that somebody who was considered crazy, out of their mind, that created this ripple effect that eventually became the norm, and then there was someone else that came up with some new crazy idea that became the fringe of the society, which then became the norm. Just like, if you just think about it, like how I've been observing, and I mean, I'm very new into this. I had my awakening only, like the proper kick awakening 3 years ago, even though I've always been like like what the hell am I doing here? What is this world about? Makes no sense to me. But like the proper aha, like, oh my god, now I get it. Only 3 years ago. So it's not like, obviously people who have been on this path like yourself all your life, or the people like, David Icke or something, that dedicated their entire life to this kind of work. They look at someone like me and say, hey kiddo, you only just woke up. But the fact is that because we're living on such an accelerated time right now, and this is a little bit of a side note, now it's not like, oh, this is just available for few gurus to reach out there like Eckhart Tolle. Actually, as long as you raise your vibration, it's available for everyone. These beings that support us, archangels, extraterrestrials, all these beings that are supporting us 100%, our ancestors, the spirit of our ancestors, our spirit guides. All you need to do, just be receptive. They don't care, like whether you have a PhD or whether you just a common person. They don't care. It's just like, yeah, you want to change, you want to help, you want to raise your vibration, sure. You just have to open yourself up for it. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say, that absolutely, like now we are in a time where this is starting to become the norm. Because just what I started saying, as I've observed, even a few years ago, I mean, just talking about extraterrestrials, people will be like, you crazy. Even my parents now will say, my sister, she will joke and say, there are people who can help you. I can call some medical help for you. And I'm like, no, worry, I'm fine. I know, I understand what's going on here. And now it's becoming the norm. More and more people are becoming familiar with talking about frequencies and energies and quantum and
Yeah.
scalar and all these kind of things, because this is the Aquarian age. We're not going to just go and rely on, well, hopefully, the sooner the better. We're not going to go and rely on pharmaceuticals and just everything that's external of us. It just keeps you attached to the system and dive deeper and deeper into the sinking sand. But where people are actually seeking, how can I help myself? What can I do for myself? Because the power to heal is within you. It's just about activation.
Yeah, 100%. And there will be people who are going to go the opposite. There will be people who will go further into the old, because there will be polarization, because that's
Yeah,
natural.
for sure.
So, and then slowly, when we come together again and rebalance the collective, it will be a different reality. It will be something new, something more towards alignment of where we should be. But there is a lot of polarization in the world right now. We're seeing a lot more kind of, people are throwing the term around narcissist. He's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. And people are saying there is this pandemic of narcissism and selfishness, but it is actually true. There is actually more and more of that people are coming up against. But how it is with consciousness is that we need it in our face before we can actually accept it, before we can confront it, before we can change it. So there are going to be people who are going to be in that role, who are going to actually show up in that role to show us that things need to change. So it makes for chaotic society at the moment, because a lot of this polarization is happening. You're seeing extremes on both ends.
Yeah. And it's also because of this North Node in Aries, because North Node is hungry. It's like it's the head of the dragon from the mythology and stuff, and it's insatiable. And now it's in Aries, and now Aries is like a child, so you don't look at your 2-year-old, 3-year-old and say, hey, you selfish, because it's a child. It doesn't know any different. It just does what it naturally does. It's like it thinks that the whole world is around, it rotates around itself, which is how it is at that age, right? So it is true 100% that right now more and more people might become narcissistic, selfish, self-centered, and that's also again the symptom of the unhealed trauma, because the narcissism comes from unhealed inner childhood trauma, because it's about childhood trauma that is still like unhealed inner child, because these people, whatever happened to them growing up, including big names that I'm not obviously going to mention, but names that are in charge of this world, things happen to them. Things happen. Like, I mean, yes, the soul chose that 100%, but most of these people, they were tortured in their childhood. They were being emotionally, mentally, psychologically abused, and that's to turn them into these beings that play the shadow role, the polarizing role. Because if there weren't these people present, how would we know the difference? Because we still, on the school of life, three-dimensional reality, we need to see the polarity and duality to understand what's going on here. And 100%, the more that people are awakening and the frequency is rising, the more the opposite side will try to tighten the noose, because that's just how it is at the moment. But this is all to actually, what this is all, in my perception and my experience, trying to achieve, is for people to take their power back, to step into their own authority and make the choice for themselves. So even the gurus and the people you put in on a pedestal, even they might turn out to be fallible, they might turn out to be not perfect. And that's again because you should always trust your inner guidance. And first and foremost, nobody knows you and your path better than you know it yourself, because your higher self is the inner guidance system. So that's why things are 100% going to get more chaotic, more extreme, because with the South Node in Libra, South Node is, the things that kind of needs to be resolved at the moment. And Libra is all about the balance, but Libra is not balanced inheritedly. Libra hasn't been born balanced. And I'm sure if you know a lot of people with strong Libra, they are not balanced. They usually going like, they're like stressed because they want to make everybody happy, and they're nervous, and they're like people pleasing and all that. They are not balanced because they're trying to find a way how to become balanced. So right now, people are going into extreme because human collective was suppressed for such a long time. Now people go into the opposite extreme, and eventually we will find a balance. But this is all to help us understand that in essence, for as long as we externalize our power, whether it's to the political figures, to the gurus or spiritual leaders or whatever, you will never feel free, because the true guiding force is within you. So this is what we are learning right now, to start trusting ourselves and to embody our true powers, like as a divine being having a human experience, and that comes through chaos and extremes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I can't even add it to that.
That's because we have the same guides, like our guides, our Arcturians are like cheering, like, hey, okay, let's give her a little bit of info. Let's give her a little bit of info. Like, yeah. So anyway, so is there anything that you think we should add as a closing messages for people?
Yeah, I want to say, be brave. Be brave. And just be brave in small ways, in big ways, and just take the steps you need to get more comfortable, to get happier, to get what you need. Be brave and know that you are supported by the unseen, and are supported by literally thousands of ancestors. And as you say, in this time, we are more and more supportive of each other. There are more and more of us out there looking for change and looking for something different. So be brave and courageous is my message.
Absolutely. And I also feel that, when things are going to get tricky again in the world, which potentially might be coming up soon, in whichever way it's going to manifest, just try to put the world on a mute. I always say, even to my clients, imagine that everyone around you were on a mute. There was no television, there was not all this bombarding us with fear mongering and stuff. And just tune in how you feel. How do you feel? What do you feel is the right thing for you, the right guidance? Because if suddenly, and this is, I guess, whereas in some ways people who, and in no way I'm saying people who are blind, deaf or anything, it's like, it's great, because I haven't had that experience. So obviously I know what that experience feel like in this incarnation. I'm sure there was an experience in previous ones. But these people have the other sensory experience so much highly more attuned because they need to. So maybe sometimes we need to start like, okay, try not to listen to all these noise that's around us, or maybe turn your eye, cover your eyes or something. Like, maybe we should start switching the different senses and see, like, okay, if this one is not available to me right now, what is coming to me? So I feel when these things are going to show up, and they will, because universe is always testing us, and that's how we know we're ready to go to the next level, because before next level there is always an exam. So now it's been quiet for past 2 years or something, so now there's going to be a next exam. So when it comes, be ready, but don't be afraid. Just put world on a mute and tune into what resonates with you. Does this feel like is the truth for you? Does this feel like this choice is the right one for you? And this is where we learn to become our own authority, because just like you said at the beginning of our conversation, the system is falling apart. It is. Saturn is in Pisces, so you cannot no longer rely on this external authority, daddy government or daddy whoever, to keep you feel safe, because we all have our own paths, and anybody that is not you will always project what they feel is the right thing, which might not be necessarily the right thing for you. So my advice always would be, just get to know yourself, and then you know what will be right for you.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And once you know yourself and listen to your inner voice, and you can trust your inner voice, things get a lot easier.
Yeah. And if you need help to get to know yourself better and to understand how did you get to this point and how you want to get to the next one without copy pasting the experience, then well, perhaps family constellation and evolutionary astrology might be something that might support you right here, right now, because we are in Virgo season. So this is the time of learning, adjustment, healing, and integrating.
Yeah, and we've done a lot of work so that we are able to support you.
And it's a working process. The progress is never ending. Like, it's not like we have it figured out. I mean, I know I share my practical experiences, and my I started doing making videos where I talk about my life, because I'm like, well, nobody might care about what I'm going through, but for some people that might be valuable. And
Yeah.
people know that we all in this together. I mean, I don't know anyone right now in my environment that is just like, oh yeah, I have it all figured out. Life is fantastic, because everything is showing up exactly as I want. And for some people, that's the truth. But for a lot of us, we're still going through a lot of healing.
Absolutely. So I think if anybody needs support, they need to reach out. And I know we've got a great offering that we've put together with our complimentary services, so they can get a bit of both, a bit of guidance from the evolutionary perspective and a bit of guidance from the ancestor perspective. And I think together that really complements each other and will really give you the whole picture.
Yeah, we're not saying that you're gonna get it all resolved, but it might bring you much closer to where you want to be, and understanding of why things might have been happening, and also helping you to perhaps like heal that pattern that has been showing up. So me and Hayley here, we decided to create an offering where both of our services, 1 hour constellation and 1 hour reading with me, is offered for a very reasonable price, which comes up actually cheaper than having the reading just with one of us separately. So to make it accessible and affordable for people if they are feeling attracted, and if they feel that this resonates with them. So you will be able to find the link to book this offering on Hayley's website. I will put all the details in a description, because my website at the moment is still in a behind the veil. Behind the veil is being manifested, but Hayley's website is up and running, so I will put all the links in descriptions. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Hayley, also tell people where can they find you.
Okay, so my website is www.souledhealing, SOULLED healing, HEALING.co.za, and you can find a lot of information there. I've also got a Facebook page, and I've got a listing on Google. So just look up Soul-Led Healing, and one of my pages or my website will pop up.
Yep. And well, you're watching me, I guess, on my channel, so you know where to find me. And also you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and of course my email address. And as I said, I hope my website will be up and running before the end of the year, so then you'll be able to find me there as well. Hayley here is going to help me with that, because she's super tech savvy, and unfortunately I'm just Aquarius rising, so this is something that I'm learning in this lifetime. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. It's been great to connect, Hayley. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you
I
for
hope people found. Yeah, it's been wonderful, and I hope people found value in this. And if you would like more of conversations like this, let us know. We'll be happy to oblige.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Much love.